Imagine standing on the rim of a great rectangular pool at dawn, the water glass smooth, and knowing that everything from who eats tonight to how the city is planned depends on that slow, shared accounting of rain. Today, I want to argue something bold. Water wasn't just a resource, it was the hidden architect of Khmer life.
Listen closely. The layers matter. When we say hydraulic landscape, we're naming an everyday system as much as an engineering idea. Barays, canals, moats, but also the labor rituals, the seasonal calendars, the obligations people kept to one another. That framing helps us see how temples and waterworks belong to the same story.
Right. I'll add a quick picture. The West Baray is several kilometers across, so large it's visible from satellite images, and it behaves like a human-made inland sea. Think of that scale for a moment. A reservoir that shapes microclimates, travel routes, and food timing for thousands of people.
And recent LiDAR surveys, see show notes for the references, have revealed the buried channels connecting those reservoirs, changing how we map human labor across the plain. The evidence links inscriptional records with buried earthworks. It's archaeology meeting aerial technology, and it confirms long-term planning over generations.
So here's one way that thesis works in practice. Water organized work. Planting, weeding, harvest. These rhythms were synchronized because people could count on stored water. Without that predictability, large temple projects and the city life we imagine wouldn't have been sustainable.
Exactly. Water created predictability, and predictability structured leadership. But let's not fall into a simple story of a single ruler issuing commands. The record suggests layered governance. Large royal projects coexisted with village-level maintenance and local customs that distributed water day by day. The complexity here is what makes the story real.
Quick question. How did ordinary people actually move Earth and keep these channels working? I'm picturing giant crews, but that can't be the whole picture.
Good prompt. Imagine seasonal labor parties, men and women from neighboring villages carrying soil in baskets, building levees by hand, cutting feeder channels at low water. Archaeological traces, embankments, local inlet works suggest small teams working repeatedly, not a single one-time mega project. The research tells us maintenance was continuous.
Right. So it's not only monumental labor, but many small acts over time. That helps me see how villages kept agency. In field interviews, an elder near Tonle Sap described lifting a bamboo sluice and showing a researcher how water was shared between paddies. Tiny gestures, profound knowledge. You can still smell wet earth in that memory.
The anecdote matters because practices like that encode rules. When to cut reeds, who gets sluice time, how to repair a bank after a storm. Those rules are part of intangible heritage, customs that archaeologists and conservationists must record if restoration is to be sustainable.
I want to push on something that often trips up public narratives, the hydraulic city label. Some people take it to mean a single centralized machine. I'm not sure I buy that all power flowed from the palace. What do you make of that claim, Rachana?
I think that strong version is too neat. Evidence points to royal-backed large-scale reservoirs that increased capacity, yes, but villages shaped distribution on the ground. So rather than palace as engineer, picture layered authority. Royal projects set the stage, local institutions and ritual practices ran the show day to day. That's more plausible and more interesting.
Okay. Partnership, not dominance. I like that. And that partnership shows up in temple layouts, too. Moats and reservoirs echo cosmic oceans in Khmer cosmology. So sacred form and hydraulic function overlap. It's architecture that speaks both practical and spiritual languages.
From a cultural standpoint, yes. The temple as cosmogram, surrounded by water, frames renewal and order. Those symbolic choices reinforce stewardship. When a reservoir is attached to a temple, ritual obligations help maintain the water regime. The evidence shows ritual and labor were entangled.
And those entanglements shaped daily life. Canals determined where roads ran, where markets clustered, even how children learned seasonal songs. Small details, who mends a spillway before planting, scale up to shape political relationships and food security.
Exactly. And that brings us to conservation today. If heritage programs focus only on stone repair or visual reconstruction, they risk erasing living practices that make the system resilient. Collaborative projects that include elders, water users, and archaeologists hold more promise. The cultural significance is not just in ruins, it's in routines.
Quick check. Listeners who want to explore this visually, the show notes link to LiDAR images and my YouTube tours of West Baray and feeder channels. Seeing the grid and buried channels will make the hydrology feel tangible. We put researcher references there too. Look for recent LiDAR work and field reports.
And for a deeper read, check the notes for a discussion of maintenance practices and inscriptions. Those texts sometimes mention rice allocation or labor obligations, small administrative windows into how water was governed. The pattern shows administrative attention as well as local practice.
We sometimes forget that these systems were experiential. People felt them daily. Picture walking a dike at sunset, hearing frogs, watching water slip through a notch someone has just opened. Those are multi-sensory memories that carried rules across generations.
The deeper story is this. When we think in terms of water as an architect, we change what we preserve. We look for the social contracts, the seasonal songs, the small technologies like bamboo sluices, and the records, inscriptions, excavation notes, LiDAR maps that trace how people negotiated flows. That's where culture lives.
Before we wrap, let's bring 3 threads back together. First, water enabled predictable food production. Second, the maintenance of waterworks organized social labor and political authority. Third, water shaped sacred architecture and everyday practice. Say those 3 with me: engineering, economy, cosmology, and you'll hear the argument again.
And I want to add, the story continues in living communities. Conservation that pairs technical study with village knowledge keeps adaptive practices alive. If you care about heritage, that partnership is where your attention should go. Support inclusive projects, read the field reports in our notes, and bring local voices into the conversation.
We'd love to hear from you. Share a memory, a photo, or a question on social media. Tag us and mention topics like history of Angkor or cultural significance of Angkor Wat so others can find the discussion. Tell us if you've seen a canal, touched a sluice, or heard a seasonal song. Those contributions enrich the story.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way. The layers matter. Listen for them in the places you visit and the conversations you join.
The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories. Follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app. Check the show notes for maps and LiDAR links, and tag us with your Angkor or water stewardship stories. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
Until next time, we'll continue exploring Cambodia's living heritage in future episodes. Take care, and if you're curious right now, open the show notes for visuals and references that deepen today's conversation.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair, my sight this way. Sacred power, sway, mighty spirit awaken. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred powers, why?